Hello and welcome to this ONTR Modurol video, Aircon and switch bulbs, how to change them. This is video 158 in our series of XK8 videos, and if you've got one of the backlight bulbs gone in your Aircon controller or Aircon unit or the switches just below it, this video is going to be useful to you. We're going to show you how to take that unit out, get access to the bulbs and change them out, including all the part numbers, etc. Saved you a bit of time, hopefully. The tools you're going to need if you're interested in this job, you're going to need a plastic credit card or club card cut into small thin strips to remove the J-gate bezel, an 8mm spanner to remove the radio unit earth, a 10mm spanner to remove the battery, a 16mm spanner to remove the gear knob, a Torx T30 to remove the center console bolts, 2 screwdrivers, an X-point to remove the radio and the Aircon screws, and a flat screwdriver to actually remove the bulb holders themselves. The actual center console switch pack the bulbs are very easy to access. They're accessible from the back, as you can see, very easy once you get that unit out. So I'll show you how to get it out in a moment. The Aircon bulbs themselves are inside the Aircon unit. There is a plastic back to that. You need to remove 2 screws at each end and then squeeze the back panel together, and it comes out as it releases into 2 halves, and you can see the bulb holders in the back of the circuit board there. We're going to split this video up into sections as per normal. It's a full assembly process. It's quite a long process, but it doesn't take very long in actuality, but we'll go through all the details and hopefully it'll save you time and stop you making the same common mistakes. There's lots of top tips within this process, so please keep watching. So section 1, we're going to look at which bulbs, the part numbers, the different types, etc. Section 2, the J-gate surround, how to remove that. Section 3, the center console, how to take that out. Section 4, the radio, Aircon unit, etc., how to remove that. Section 5, actually separating that unit out, separating the switches out from that unit. And finally, Section 6, replacing the bulbs. As I say, it's quite an involved process, but it doesn't take long to do when you get the knack. Okay, so which bulbs? So center console switch pack bulbs, there's 2 types of bulbs, 5 bulbs altogether in my pack. There could be up to 7. I don't have heated seats on my car, so I was missing 2 bulbs or 2 switches. The first type of bulb is basically a blue backlight bulb. The part numbers you can see there, that's the common backlight bulb throughout the center console. And there is a different coloured bulb for the hazard lights. Obviously that needs to shine red, so a blue backlight isn't appropriate. So the part numbers you can see there, so depending on which one's gone out, you need to order the right one. The center console Aircon bulbs are slightly different. There are 2 the same. The Aircon temperature readout, it has the same bulbs as the switch pack, but the other blue background bulbs are actually slightly smaller diameter one. Those are the part numbers you can see there, the JLM ones. With actually got they're a blue bulb with a black base. They're the common one within the Aircon unit. It's a little bit different. And there is an oddity in the green bulb, which actually is the bulb that backlights the 2 arrows that indicate plus and minus temperature, green for down, I think red for up, obviously. And both of those are illuminated by a single green bulb, and that has a black background. You can see the part number there. So depending on which one's out, make sure you order the right one before you start taking the whole thing apart. Hopefully that's helpful. Most of the bulbs, interesting, it's a bit of a XK8 sort of oddity. Most of the bulbs are actually blue backlight. I actually thought for a long time they were actually green, hence why I've gone for green LEDs, but that's another story. But there is only physically 1 green bulb within that center console, and it's the same story with the gauge cluster, etc. It's a bit ironic because the LED screens are backlit in green, so I'm not quite sure the green-blue idea within Jaguar, but I'm coordinating mine all green at the moment. But yeah, an XK oddity, the backlight bulbs are actually blue, not green. Okay, let's get on with actually how to take the whole thing apart. So section 2, the grey J-gate surround removal. Bit of a top tip then, before you do any of this, there's lots of electronics in these cars. The modules aren't cheap to replace. If you are unlucky to short some out and blow up a module, you're going to be into a very big bill. So top tip is disconnect your battery. Again, when you're disconnecting your battery, remember, open your doors first so the windows pop down. And obviously disconnect the negative first on the black terminal. The next thing there is to remove the gear knob. So you need to take your 16mm spanner at the base, release the lock nut by turning that clockwise, and the gear knob itself will screw off anti-clockwise. Very, very easy. It's ideal if you move the gear lever away from park. If you leave it in park, the bezel will actually foul on the lever. So in order to move that with the ignition off, you need to take the little Torx plug out of the bung there with your T30 Torx bit. The part number for the bung's there if you ever lose one. And pop your little X screwdriver in there to release the catch, the safety catch, and you should be able to pull your lever backwards into reverse, neutral or drive, whichever suits. Any of those will do, just to get the lever out of the way. The actual J-gate bezel itself, let's have a quick look at that. Now there are 4 sort of these clip positions or hooped clips that engage on the J-gate itself. You got the part numbers for the 2 different types of bezel there if you're interested, the 2 and the single button, 2 button and the single button. So the J-gate has these retaining tabs which those little 4 locations sit in. There's a bit of a close-up one. It's like a wedge shape. So if you imagine you're going to try and get your piece of plastic card in between the bezel down onto that little tab and push the clip off. So again, you need to cut your credit card or your membership card into little strips. I'd like to make full credit of this idea to Ross and Dan Ord. I had a look at their video. There has been previous videos with credit cards, etc., but Ross and Dan nailed it. I'm going to put a link in the top right-hand corner to their video. If you struggle getting the J-gate out from my instructions, take a look at Ross and Dan's video. I used it. It's superb. It's got it off to a T. So top tip there. So the way to do it is you get your little credit card slips, push them through the gap, and it should disengage the 4 corners. Clearance may be an issue, so you may have to wrestle with the console backwards and forwards to get it in. The clearances are quite tight, but you will be able to disengage the tabs. It's the easiest and best way to do it without breaking anything. You won't be able to lift the bezel off completely without actually pushing it forwards. The rear of the bezel, where the switches are, there is actually a tab locates into the veneer. You need to push the whole bezel forwards in the vehicle to disengage that before you can pull it off. Once you've done that, you'll be able to access the switches. You need to press the switch or the socket tabs and pull them out to disconnect. Then you should be able to see the 2 metal brackets holding the veneer down. Just remove those 4 screws. If you're interested, these are quite commonly fitted the wrong way around, but you can see there's a shape to them at the rearwards in the vehicle that actually relieves round the tabs, the location tabs. So you need to make sure those are rearward in the vehicle. Top tip there. If you're ever in doubt, that's the way for them to go. When you look at the veneer, the veneer is relieved in that area as well, so the shape does follow into the metal bracket. So once you've done all that, the gear surround should just lift off. It is located slightly under the radio at the front, so pull that off. Now section 3, then we're on to removing the center console itself. Once you've got that veneer off, you'll be able to see two fixing screws just underneath the radio. You need to get your T30 torque bit again and unscrew those. Then at the back of the center console, you need to remove the lid there. On mine, it's actually located with 4 spring clips, but I noticed one of my spring clips has gone walkabout. The end pad, as it's called, is part number is there if you're interested. And then after you remove that, you'll be able to see 2 more torque screws, and they're locate the center console through slotted holes. So I'm assuming here the front of the console is located by 2 torque screws which actually go into holes. So I assume they're the primary and these are the secondary locations. So do these, when you put it all back together, put these in second. So then you need to remove those again with your T30 Torx bit. The center console then can be lifted out from the rear. You will, the whole thing will be fouled by the electrical connections underneath. So you need to remember to disconnect your cigarette lighter, or in my case, USB charger, and make sure you reconnect it. So top tip there, when you're pulling that up, don't fight it too much. It'll be connected to your cigarette lighter or cigar lighter in case of the Jaguar. Okay, the center console should now be able to be easily removed once everything's disconnected. If you're interested, you've got part numbers there of the center console, the lid and the ashtray. And you should have something that looks something like this. An interesting fact here is that the Jaguar doesn't have a single carpet. The passenger and the driver's carpet are separate units, and you can see quite clearly here the carpet doesn't follow through. There's a definite sort of, 3-4 inch gap between the 2 carpets in the middle there. Okay, section 4 then, the radio, aircon, etc. unit. So once you got that center console out, you'll be able to see the 6 screws that hold the radio unit into the dashboard. You need to remove all those screws. The top tip here is actually to remove the top screws first, because the top doesn't have much weight in it. What you tend to find, if you're not careful, if you take the bottom ones out, the bottom has the weight of the radio unit in, and it can move quite easily and tweak the fixed top. If the screws are connected to the top, it just tweaks the whole thing and it breaks those, as you can see with mine. So to avoid damaged plastics, take the screws out the top, middle, bottom first, in that order. Top tip for you there. Then you should be able to pull the whole radio unit forwards. The center switch pack needs to go rearwards in the vehicle for a reason I'll explain now, because the actual connector for that, the actual tab to disconnect it is underneath, and you can't get your finger underneath because the radio is physically there. So you need to get it clear. You can see the tab there underneath. You need to push that tab in and pull it out. The actual Aircon unit itself, the electrical connector, is up and inside the dash panel. In order to release that, you need to push the tab down on that and pull it down. The blue connection you can see there, the blue connector. Another top tip then, before you get the radio out and start trying to delve into those connectors, I should have said you need to cover your J-gate with a rag. Now, if you're not familiar with the J-gate does illuminate. So it is sort of semi-see-through plastic with a black paint on the top. Obviously, if you get your metal radio unit rubbing against that, it will easily scratch that, and you'll expose more plastic, which will illuminate. So it looked pretty bad at night, to be honest. So top tip, cover that with a rag, avoid damage for your J-gate cover. Once the radio's exposed, you'll be able to disconnect the back of it. So first of all, you got the radio connection here. It just pulls straight out. The actual main white connector, you can push the tab in the middle and pull it out to remove. there is an earth. There's quite a considerable earth on these radios, and you need an 8mm spanner to take the nut off, securing that and pull that away. And then finally, you need to remove the CD changer lead, or if you're lucky enough to have an amp, the amp lead as well, and they have a little tab, securing tab at the top, a locking tab. You need to push that in and pull those out the back. So hopefully you'll remove your radio unit and you'll have it on the bench without any damage. Fingers crossed. So how do you separate the units now to get at the switches? So the Aircon wiring harness should be actually clipped to the left hand side as it's in the vehicle. That does need to be released in order to get the unit out. It is actually fixed with 3 small screws, 2 at each side and 1 at the top middle. You need to take those out, and the aircon unit should be pushed forwards to be released from the radio surround. Should be able to just push it forwards. Say all the loom comes out with it then. The actual center switch pack, as we saw before, should actually pull backwards. You should have probably already get access to that. So there you go. You should have both units free from the console and be able to get at them. So section 5 then, replacing the bulbs themselves. So as we say, the center switch pack is very easy to get access to the bulbs. There's nothing in between. There's nothing stopping get at them at the back. The Aircon is slightly different. The back of it has a plastic cover. You need to take 2 screws off at each end, and the thing has actually got additional clips. If you depress the center, you'll disengage those and you'll get access to the back of the circuit board, and you can see the bulbs located in the back there. There is actually this clear plastic insulator that obscures some of the smaller bulbs. You need to take that out. When it's removed, it looks something like that. So you just pull straight out, and then you have access to all the bulbs and the bulb holders. To actually take them out, again, it's very easy. So you rotate. Basically get your flat screwdriver engaged in the back of the bulb holder. Rotate anti-clockwise to remove and pull the bulb out. And obviously to locate, you push it in and rotate clockwise. Really easy. There are 2 different standard part sizes of bulbs, as we explained before. There's 2 different diameters of the location. If you're interested in going to LED, I will do an LED bulb video for the console because I've done that for the main dials. But if you're interested in that and you want to buy bulbs and get ahead, T4.2 will fit in all locations, but just be particular about your colours, etc. So top tip, if you're after LED bulbs, you don't have to buy different sizes. T4.2 will fit all. And look out for the LED video. Here's a comparison between normal. I've got fitted normal bulbs in the Aircon unit here, but I've got LED backlight bulbs in the switch pack, and you can see the difference. Are those blue backlights or are they green? I'll turn the Aircon on there. That definitely lights up green. I mean, that's always... Yeah, okay, but it's got LED bulbs in, okay. I have done the main dials, as you can see here. Really bright. I think it suits the dash. I know other people have done red, and red looks very fetching. So there you go. LEDs make quite a difference. I know it's not to everybody's taste, especially people like their cars genuine, but okay, I like to mess with my cars and try and improve it, or probably go backwards. So finally, reassembly. I'm not going to go through the reassembly process. It is basically the reverse of removal, but there are some top tips I'd like to give you to avoid you pulling your hair out and doing everything 2 or 3 times. So first of all, test the bulbs before you bolt everything down together. So you need to basically reconnect the aircon and the switch pack, reconnect the battery, turn it on, make sure all the bulbs light. Easy, but if you don't do that, it's very frustrating having fixed everything down to have to go back to it. What I found is when you're actually putting the radio back in the unit, it's very easy for the CD changer socket to get pulled out because the wire's all foul. So make sure the CD changer is working before you screw that back together. The carpet has a tendency to foul with the center console, so you might find a bit of carpet isn't actually located underneath it and it's holding it off slightly. So make sure all the carpet is nicely, neatly tucked in. I found that the carpet also had a tendency to foul the ashtray opening. I mean, the ashtray has this nice dampened opening, and if the carpet isn't located in between the ashtray mechanism and the inner part of the console, it will actually foul the ashtray lid opening and it won't open fully. So it's very frustrating when you've put everything back together and it doesn't work quite properly. So make sure that works before you tighten everything up. And then finally, make sure the cigarette lighter is connected. It is quite fiddly to reconnect it all back together to make sure that's all functional before you bolt everything down. So this is a bit of a tip from my experience. I've done this a couple of times now, and every time I forget something, and it's very frustrating having to take it all apart and do it all again. So just a bit of a memory jogger and a bit of help for you, save you doing it twice. Okay, so my next video, I think I'm going to finish this center console thing off. I'm going to go into the details of how I change the bulbs. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, so I haven't included that detail in this video. But if you're interested, take a look at video, what would it be? Video 159, nearly 160, but 159. Take a look at that video. Thank you very much for watching. If you've got a bulb out, hopefully this will be useful for you to replace it. If you have enjoyed the video, I really would appreciate if you press the thumbs up. There is actually a payment thing on the bottom of the thing now, so you can actually make a donation now, I believe, but don't worry about that. But if you do, it'd be much appreciated. And please like, comment, share and subscribe if you'd like to see more XK8, Ford Kuga and Nissan Leaf videos.